Hello, I'm Graham Fitch and I'm bringing you this video on Trinity's initial grade, and we're talking here about the Canon by Henk Badings. Now, a canon is simply where one voice answers the other. Now, in this particular piece, the second voice answers a step up. So you could call this, and it should be called a canon at the second. Let me just illustrate what I'm talking about. I'm going to do it slightly slower so you can hear what's going on. Answer. Statement, answer. So at a bar's distance, we hear the original motif reflected by the lower voice. Now this means both hands are equal partners in this piece, which is why it's so useful. We've also got to be attentive to the phrase shaping so that the left hand imitates not only the notes that the right hand gave us, but also the shaping of the phrase. Let me show you what I mean. We start off with a slur that goes over the bar line, so from strong to weak. So the B is going to be softer. However, the F in the answer is stronger than the B in the right hand. So it requires really quite careful tonal control, even at this initial level. Left, right. Notice what I did in that phrase from bar 5. I see a note pattern that ascends to a long note before the descent. So even though there's no actual crescendo marked in, it would be very natural to feel a crescendo through to the long note in both hands. And now a sudden change of dynamic. Let's see if we can do that clearly. And as will be natural to most players to feel this, a little bit of time at the end, tiny little bit of just a relaxing in the last two quavers, and a little diminuendo just to round off the piece and to end the phrase. Now, in terms of teaching this piece, I think it would be a really good idea as a call and response. It could even be used as an ear training exercise, or just ear training, so that the teacher could possibly play the first phrase, and then as a call and response, the pupil could sing that back at the pitch, not a second up. And you could go through the piece doing that. That would be a very useful thing to do. You could then do a call and response at the keyboard, where the pupil would answer again at the octave. So that would be the pupil answering that. And responding not just to the notes, as I said before, but also to the shaping. And then the next step along would be to have them answer at the second, so in other words, a note higher. So we have answered by, that would be a very good preliminary stage before putting it hands together. Another suggestion for putting it hands together would be to play both hands in unison like this. Again, at pitch. I think this might sound a little psychedelic if you did it at the second. But again, that's a possibility. That might interest some players to hear it that way. Just one final thing to be aware of. The piece is in a 5-finger position, so the right hand from A to E, the left hand from B to F. What we need to avoid, this is really important pianistically, is locking the hand and fixing the hand in the 5-finger position. So if you notice what I do when I play a 5-finger position, I'm moving laterally with the wrist so that the arm is lined up behind the finger that's playing. It will mean that the thumb actually moves off the surface of the A as I come up. So my thumb is no longer locked rigidly onto the A. And this is just good piano playing, to be mobile in the wrist. Let me show you a little in the left hand so you can see it. So as I play my phrase, do you see the mobility that I've got in my hand there? I think you'll really find that this is a great piece to teach and a really enjoyable piece to play.